Hey everybody, welcome back to Sip&Talk. I'm Joe. And as always, I'm ready to dive into some seriously juicy info with you all today. It's like we're mixing up a knowledge cocktail here. Strong stuff, but oh, so smooth going down.
And I'm Sunny, your friendly neighborhood fact checker. I'll make sure we get all the ingredients right. Speaking of mixing things up, you know it's always a good blend? Travel whiskey and discovering awesome new things. You have to check out our friend Mickey's YouTube channel, Mickey to Life.
Yeah, Mickey's the best. He's always got something cool going on.
Welcome, everyone, to Sip&Talk.
Here we go. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, whatever time zone you're in. Welcome back to Sip&Talk.
My God, with all this geopolitical turmoil, are we ever going to sleep?
You know the old saying, with great power comes great responsibility. Today, we've got the latest global and financial updates for you.
We really do.
Hello to all our Sip&Talkers out there. Seriously, with this recent stock market bloodbath we've been seeing, we just have to ask, are you all holding up okay?
Yeah, it's been rough.
Just hang in there. Because today, we're going to tease apart all this geopolitical chaos and, we'll take a look at what Elon Musk has been up to lately, which honestly might give you a little bit of confidence in where things are heading.
It's definitely a wild time. But before we get into the thick of it, we do need to put out our standard disclaimer.
Oh, right, of course.
We are not investment experts. All the financial data, the stock movements, all that analysis we discussed today is purely for reference.
Exactly. Only for reference.
Right. So please do your own research before making any financial decisions. All right, let's just jump straight into the global theater, because the situation in the Middle East right now is it's basically sending shockwaves through every single sector of the economy.
It really is.
We're in 2026, and the landscape in Iran has hit this highly volatile turning point. The power transition we've been keeping an eye on, it actually happened.
Yeah, Mojtaba Khamenei.
Right, the son of the former leader. He has officially been appointed as the new supreme leader. And what strikes me here is how this plays out domestically, because there are massive protests against a hereditary transfer of power, right?
Very much so. But this appointment completely ignores those domestic voices.
Wow.
By elevating him, the regime is projecting this image of absolute unyielding resolve. They are showing zero cracks. And the military apparatus is fully in step with this.
The IRGC, right.
Exactly, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. They've formally pledged allegiance to the new leader, but they took it a step further. They publicly boasted that they have a 6-month stockpile of resources ready for an extended war.
6 months? That's terrifying.
And they've actively threatened to deploy their long-range missiles.
Which naturally brings us to how the U.S. is handling all of this. Trump's strategy here is incredibly aggressive. He is outright refusing to accept the new leader's legitimacy.
Yeah, he demanded an unconditional surrender.
Unconditional surrender. And I'm reading these reports about U.S. special ops potentially being deployed directly into Iran.
Right, the extraction mission.
Yeah, to extract highly enriched uranium to prevent nuclear proliferation. I mean, doing a targeted extraction in the middle of all this chaos, it sounds like a movie script. How dangerous is that kind of maneuver?
It is about as kinetic and high stakes as military operations get. We aren't just talking about political rhetoric anymore. The military escalation is severe.
It really is.
Just look at the last 24 hours. A U.S.-Israel coalition struck more than 400 targets inside Iran.
400?
Yes. They heavily focused on critical infrastructure, specifically fuel depots right near Tehran, which is a massive blow to their logistics.
But the human cost is very real here, too. We have to acknowledge the tragic loss of 7 U.S. soldiers in this recent conflict. It's just a sobering reminder of how dangerous this has become.
It's a heavy toll, and you can see the ripple effects of this kinetic conflict hitting the global economy like a freight train.
Oh, absolutely. Let's look at the Strait of Hormuz. It's arguably the most important oil choke point on the planet, and right now, it is effectively closed.
Completely shut down.
But I want to clarify for everyone listening, this isn't necessarily a physical wall of warships blocking the strait. It's actually about the insurance, isn't it?
That is the hidden mechanism of global trade right there. Commercial vessels simply cannot afford the astronomically high shipping insurance rates caused by the threat of attacks.
Makes sense.
If you can't insure the cargo, you cannot move the ship. Because of this, massive producers like the UAE and Kuwait are being forced to cut their production. The oil is literally trapped.
Trapped in the region. So if the oil can't leave, the immediate thought is higher gas prices. We saw Brent crude oil spike violently to $120 a barrel.
Huge jump.
Yeah, before settling back down near 107. But I noticed that slight pullback only happened because the G7 and the International Energy Agencies stepped in.
Right, they said they might release reserves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But honestly, how much does dipping into the strategic petroleum reserves actually help when the main highway is closed?
It's a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. An SPR release might calm the algorithms trading oil futures for a few days, but it does absolutely nothing to fix the structural deficit of a closed Strait of Hormuz.
Right. You can't fake the supply.
You simply cannot replace that volume of daily flow with emergency reserves for very long.
And I think the part that surprises people is how this connects to their everyday lives. You might think, okay, I'll pay a few bucks more at the pump, but this energy shockwave goes straight to your local grocery store.
It really does.
Wheat is near a 2-year high right now. Palm oil jumped 10% in a single day. Why is food reacting so aggressively to oil?
Because modern agriculture is basically an energy conversion mechanism.
What do you mean by that?
Think about the entire life cycle of your food. You need massive amounts of energy to manufacture fertilizer, which is highly dependent on natural gas, by the way.
Oh, right.
Then you need fuel for the tractors, energy to process the raw materials, and fuel to ship the final product across the country. When the cost of energy spikes, the cost to produce every single calorie spikes right along with it.
Wow. Which naturally leads us to the market reaction and that terrifying word we keep hearing.
Stagflation.
Stagflation. Stagnant economic growth combined with high inflation. The Asian markets took an absolute beating. South Korea and Japan saw their indices drop between 4% and 6%. Japan is officially in a market correction.
It's rough over there.
Why is Japan taking such a disproportionate hit here?
Well, Japan is an island nation with very limited domestic energy resources. They import almost all of their oil and natural gas.
Ah, so they're completely exposed.
Exactly. So when energy prices surge and the global supply chain freezes, their manufacturing costs skyrocket while their consumer spending stalls out. They are incredibly vulnerable to these specific types of supply shocks.
That makes a lot of sense. And the panic isn't just in equities. I was looking at the bond markets, and global bond yields are surging. The UK 10-year gilt jumped 25 basis points.
Massive move.
Now, for those of us who aren't glued to bond market charts all day, just how severe is a 25 basis point movement?
Think of a basis point as 1/100th of a percentage point. Normally, sovereign debt yields crawl. They move by maybe 2 or 3 basis points a day as economic data trickles in.
Okay.
A 25 basis point spike practically overnight means the bond market is having a heart attack.
For heart attack, wow.
Investors are betting that central banks, like the Bank of England and the European Central Bank, will be forced to hike interest rates again just to fight off this new wave of energy-driven inflation.
Even though their economies are already slowing down. So in a panic like this, you'd normally expect everyone to buy gold, right? That's the classic crisis playbook. But gold is surprisingly weak right now.
Very weak.
Instead, the US dollar is trading at its highest level since January. It's the only true safe harbor. What is causing that shift away from gold?
It comes down to liquidity and interest rates. Gold doesn't pay a yield, it just sits there. With interest rates remaining so high, it's expensive to hold an asset that doesn't pay you anything.
That makes sense.
Furthermore, institutional investors are taking massive losses in the stock market right now. When you get a margin call, you can't pay it with a gold bar. You need cold, hard cash.
Right, you need liquidity.
So everyone is scrambling for US dollars to cover their positions, driving the value of the dollar through the roof.
It really is a domino effect. Now, while we are observing how nations are positioning themselves on this global board, we have to look at China.
Yes, definitely.
With all these military strikes happening in Iran, you would naturally expect global tensions to rise everywhere, especially in the Pacific. But suddenly, China's People's Liberation Army, the PLA, has significantly decreased its activity around Taiwan.
Unusually quiet.
Extremely quiet. What is going on there?
It's a fascinating pivot. An analysis from foreign policy calls this a tactical silence.
Tactical silence.
Yeah. This isn't Beijing suddenly backing off or softening its stance. Instead, they're actively shifting their vast satellite monitoring network away from the Pacific and pointing it directly at the Middle East.
Wait, really? Why move the satellites away from their own backyard?
Because a lot of Chinese-made military equipment and technology is currently being used in the Iranian conflict.
Oh, I see.
Modern warfare generates a staggering amount of data. Beijing is using this high-intensity conflict as a real-world testing ground. They are monitoring performance, gathering telemetry, and figuring out how to adjust the parameters of their hardware.
Based on actual combat against U.S. and Israeli systems?
Exactly.
They are basically treating the Middle East as a live fire laboratory. That's intense. But I know there are defense analysts who view this silence much more suspiciously, and we always want to present these things impartially.
Of course.
Some critics are calling this a strategic pause, right?
Yes, the fear among some analysts is that China is deliberately lowering the temperature to lull the U.S., Japan, and Taiwan into a false sense of security.
A distraction tactic.
The concern is that while the U.S. military and intelligence apparatus is completely distracted and bogged down in the Middle East, China might attempt a surprise infiltration or maneuver in the Pacific.
And China has limited its response to the Middle East strikes to purely verbal condemnation. They haven't offered any direct material support or intervention.
Right.
But it's that very restraint, that calculated, watchful silence that is making allies in the region so incredibly nervous. It's the uncertainty of what that quiet actually means.
It's a giant global chess match, and every single move has a counter move. It's crucial we observe these maneuvers objectively without taking sides, just analyzing the board as it stands.
You are totally right. It's fascinating watching nations maneuver around physical resources and borders, but it makes you realize that there's a completely different type of resource war happening right now that doesn't involve traditional armies at all.
Oh, absolutely.
Which brings us to the technological battlefield of 2026. This year is officially the watershed moment for artificial intelligence infrastructure. We are moving out of the era where companies just threw billions of dollars at the wall in a blind arms race.
We are officially in the era of extreme efficiency survival.
Extreme efficiency survival. The transition in the tech sector is monumental.
To illustrate just how drastic this shift is, look at the bombshell news from OpenAI and Oracle. They completely canceled their massive super data center expansion in Abilene, Texas.
That was huge news.
We are talking about a facility that was supposed to grow from a 1.2 gigawatt monster into a 2 gigawatt behemoth, and they just pulled the plug entirely.
I have to admit, hearing 2 gigawatts is a bit abstract for me. Why would you walk away from a project that massive when everyone says AI needs more power?
Think of it like this. Imagine you're a startup, and you decide you need a massive, state-of-the-art corporate headquarters.
Okay.
You commission a custom skyscraper. But architectural technology is moving so fast that by the time you pour the concrete for the 10th floor, your blueprints are completely obsolete.
Oh, man.
You realize that by the time the building is finished in 3 years, the floors won't even be able to support the weight of the new desks you just ordered.
So what do?
You stop building. You decide it's much safer and more flexible to just rent space in a luxury high-rise that's already finished. If something better comes along, you just move out. That is the exact realization hitting AI companies right now.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. So building your own physical data center has suddenly become a trap.
A massive trap.
The underlying math of AI just moves too fast for construction schedules. Compute demand is doubling every 3 months, right?
Yeah.
But permitting and building a physical data center takes about 3 years. By the time you cut the ribbon, your servers are dinosaurs.
Precisely. Owning physical assets is a massive liability now. We're seeing the rollout of the new NVIDIA Vera Rubin platform, which requires entirely different power and cooling setups than the previous generation.
It changes everything.
On top of that, financing costs are crushing. Oracle, for instance, is carrying over $100 billion in debt.
$100 billion.
Tying up billions in concrete and steel that might be obsolete in 24 months is a financial death sentence in this interest rate environment.
So we are officially in the era of compute landlords.
Compute landlords, exactly.
I was reading about this fundamental economic flip that happened this year. Inference costs have officially surpassed training costs. Can you break down what that actually means for the listeners?
Sure. Training is teaching the AI how to think. It takes a massive one-time burst of energy and compute power to process all the world's data into a model.
Got it. And inference?
Inference is when a user actually asks the AI a question and it generates an answer. Because so many millions of people and businesses are using AI every single day now, the everyday running costs, the inference have become astronomically high. It totally dwarfs the initial training cost.
And that completely changes how software companies want to pay for things. They don't want to buy the server.
No, they want flexible rent-as-you-go token economics.
Right. They want to pay a fraction of a cent only when the AI generates a word and not a second longer. If a software company actually owns the data center, the massive depreciation of those servers will drag down their annual recurring revenue.
Their ARR, exactly.
And Wall Street will absolutely destroy their valuation.
That is the financial pivot. But here's the wild part about the Abilene cancellation. OpenAI and Oracle walk away, but Meta swoops right in to lease the canceled site.
Just swoops right in. And apparently, NVIDIA brokered this deal behind the scenes.
They did.
Why would Meta want a site that OpenAI just rejected?
Because in 2026, a power-ready site is a gold mine. Finding a location that already has the permits, the land, and the grid connections approved to draw 2 gigawatts of electricity is incredibly rare.
It's all about the grid.
Meta is perfectly happy to be the tenant, putting their own rented hardware into a space where the power is already flowing.
That really changes how investors have to value these companies. For years, I remember the gold standard metric for a data center was PUE, power usage effectiveness.
Right.
It basically measured how well a building kept its servers cool without wasting electricity. But that's changed, hasn't it?
It has. The metric everyone cares about now is PCE, power compute effectiveness.
That's compute effectiveness.
It's no longer just about saving electricity on air conditioning. It's about how many actual AI tokens you can generate per watt of power. The focus is entirely on the output efficiency of the silicon itself.
And the pressure to build these centers isn't just coming from consumer demand, it's coming from governments.
Yes.
This push for sovereign AI is forcing a massive geographical spread. Countries are demanding that their citizens' data be processed and stored locally within their own borders. A European country doesn't want its government data sitting on a server in Texas.
Which is forcing the Mag 7 tech companies to build out localized data centers all over the globe, whether they want to or not.
It's a mandate.
This sovereign AI mandate is driving their collective 2026 CapEx to a staggering $680 billion.
$680 billion.
It is severely squeezing the profit margins of the big cloud providers because they can't centralize their operations anymore.
So if building your own massive data center is a liability and all the software companies just want to rent, who actually wins in this environment?
The hardware guys.
Right. You might assume that canceled data centers mean the hardware companies are taking a hit. But look at TSMC, the world's largest semiconductor manufacturer. They just pushed their 2026 CapEx to a record $52 to $56 billion. Why are they spending so much if projects are getting canceled?
It seems counterintuitive until you look at who is actually buying the chips. The demand is no longer spread out among 1,000 little startups trying to build their own small server farms.
It's consolidated.
The demand is hyper-concentrated at the very top. You have these super landlords, companies like Microsoft, Meta, and CoreWeave, and they are hoarding the hardware.
They need the best stuff.
They absolutely need TSMC's cutting-edge 2-nanometer manufacturing process to run NVIDIA's new Vera Rubin chips. A 2-nanometer chip is incredibly dense, meaning it can process far more data while using far less electricity.
Which is crucial for that PCE metric we just talked about.
Exactly. The landlords are buying the absolute best hardware to furnish the spaces they are renting out. And it's not just TSMC. There's a whole ecosystem of hardware winners solving the physical bottlenecks of this new era.
Like advanced packaging.
Yes. Companies like Chinese technology are booming because engineers have to stack these chips closer together than ever before to reduce latency. Then there's memory. The new HBM4 memory architecture from companies like SK Hynix and Micron is essential just to feed data to the processors fast enough.
And we can't forget about cooling. This is perhaps the most visceral change in the data center. The thermal design power, the TDP of these new chips is...
That's why liquid cooling companies like Vertiv are seeing such incredible demand. They are designing systems that pipe engineered cooling liquids directly onto the silicon. The physical realities of electricity and heat are dictating the market.
Which brings us back full circle to the market chaos we started with, and to Elon Musk. Because what he did during this exact moment of global panic is a masterclass in seeing the board differently.
Oh, Operation Epic Fury.
Yes. We talked about the market freaking out over the Middle East, with investors rotating their money out of AI and scrambling for cash. But right as the market was dipping, right as NVIDIA stock dropped 2.6%, Musk doubled his holdings in NVIDIA to 2 million shares.
He is such a contrarian play.
Yeah.
Wall Street is looking at spreadsheets. They see slowing consumer inflation. They see the insane capital expenditures of these data centers, and they are terrified that the AI software bubble is popping.
But Musk isn't looking at software.
No. He's looking at the physical laws of energy and the exponential demand for physical AI.
Physical AI. We're talking about bringing the intelligence out of a server and into the real world. Musk's Optimus humanoid robots and Tesla's full self-driving vehicles.
Right.
These aren't chatbots summarizing emails. These are machines that have to process millions of data points a second in real time to navigate physical space without crashing.
And Musk knows that if his Optimus robots actually scale to mass production, there will literally never be enough GPUs in the world to train their neural nets and run them.
So he's not day trading.
He isn't buying 2 million shares of NVIDIA to make a quick buck on a stock bounce. He's securing what he sees as the oil of the AI age. He is executing a strategy of forward integration.
By becoming one of NVIDIA's most significant individual stakeholders, he's basically bribing the bouncer to guarantee his spot at the very front of the VIP line for supply.
That's a great way to put it.
Amidst all this fragmentation caused by sovereign AI and the mad scramble for compute power, he is ensuring his hardware division never gets starved of the silicon it needs. He is securing the foundation of his empire while Wall Street is distracted by geopolitical headlines.
It's an incredible contrast, isn't it? The world is watching the physical oil in the Middle East get choked off in the Strait of Hormuz, and Musk is quietly cornering the market on the digital oil of the future.
It really puts the scale of 2026 into perspective. We are watching a simultaneous restructuring of global energy, global finance, and global technology.
It is wild to watch it unfold in real time.
All right, Sip and Talkers, we've covered a massive amount of ground today, and as we wrap up, we want to remind you that our goal here is to give you the objective facts.
Always.
We aren't here to criticize or discriminate against any country, any group, or any people. Our core value is providing you with the clear-eyed reality of the situation to encourage independent, critical thinking in a world that often feels incredibly chaotic.
Knowledge is only valuable when you can step back, connect the dots, and understand the bigger picture without letting the noise overwhelm you.
Very well said. If you value this kind of breakdown, please hit that subscribe button for the Sip and Talk podcast. We love having you here.
We really do.
And hey, while we are on the topic of subscribing, we have to give a huge enthusiastic shout out to our good friend, Mickey. You've got to go subscribe to his YouTube channel, Mickey to Life.
Yes. Mickey's channel is fantastic. He's a great guy, and he's been putting out this short junk video series lately.
I have to admit, sometimes his punchlines are a little out there.
You really have to think about them to get the joke.
Yeah.
But it is actually pretty funny. It's a great lighthearted distraction.
It really is. Especially while we are all patiently, or let's be honest, impatiently, waiting for him to finally upload the vlog from his Europe trip.
Come on, Mickey, we want to see the footage.
So go check out Mickey to Life on YouTube.
As we sign off, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to mull over. We've talked today about how AI compute is the new global oil and how geopolitical wars are currently shutting down actual physical oil choke points.
Right.
So here's the question. What happens when a nation decides they don't want to blockade ocean straits anymore, but instead decides to blockade the physical supply chains of artificial intelligence?
Oh, wow.
Think about the undersea cables, the rare earth minerals, the semiconductor shipping routes. If AI is the new oil, the next blockade won't be in the desert.
Oof. That is a chilling thought to leave on. Gives us plenty to watch out for. Thank you all for joining us. Stay informed, stay curious, and see you next episode.